Although Daniel Cormier thinks Ilia Topuria shouldn't have given up his title, he conceded that it was a brave move. Additionally, Cormier disclosed Turo's opponent of choice at 155. El Matador always seems to make the correct decisions, he said, and in this instance most people would agree that by leaving he avoids causing the division to lag. DC acknowledged, though, that he would have handled the matter in a different way. By advancing without keeping his championship, he questioned the danger of relinquishing the belt so quickly. If Ilia wins at lightweight, the bet pays off, but if he fails, he will no longer have a championship to rely on. Ilia is risking everything. According to DC, it would have been wiser to retain the featherweight title while letting Alex Volkanovski and Diego Lopez compete for a temporary title. In this manner, Ilia might have put himself to the test at 155 without completely forfeiting his featherweight title. With Islam Makhachev observing Ramadan and unable to practice, DC predicts that Toria's next bout will probably be against Charles Ola. Due to the temporary suspension of the lightweight title picture, El Matador and Dub Bronx will get the chance to fight in the spring, with the winner earning a shot at the title. According to DC, this is the most sensible course of action, establishing a high-stakes match that might decide who will be the next contender for the lightweight title.
He made that decision on his own, but it is kind of par for the course when you think about Ilia Topuria. He seems to do all the right things, and in this instance, most would believe that he's doing the right thing because he's not going to hold up the entire division. But for me, I got to be honest, I would have been a little selfish in this situation, because what if he loses? What if he does earn a title fight? And what if he loses? Now he's not even the featherweight champion anymore. Should have held on to the belt, waited. Lopez and Volkanovski would have gladly fought for an interim championship. So what's next for Topuria? I believe it's Charles Oliveira. And let me tell you why. You match up Topuria and Oliveira. They fight relatively soon. Islam is in Ramadan. They don't want to fight in Ramadan. He doesn't want to train in Ramadan. So that pushes Makhachev back to the end of Ramadan. Ilia versus Oliveira early, sometime in the spring. You make them fight with the guarantee that one of these guys gets a title.
Mendes Javier. When questioned about Ilia Topuria giving up his title and maybe stepping up to fight Islam Makhachev's coach didn't mince words. Mendes acknowledged that Topuria is crossing the line, but he also made the point that entertainment is more important than competition in combat sports, particularly in the UFC. Cutting the queue would be a problem in a real sport, but in a promotion like the UFC, audience interest and marquee bouts take priority, the coach said. If the fans demand it, that's what the UFC will deliver. He even highlighted Chael Sonnen, who consistently skipped contenders for huge fights, suggesting that it's not unusual for the organization to choose excitement over ranking when it comes to the comparison with Conor McGregor. While McGregor and Ilia are both self-assured and know how to conduct themselves, Mendes did not notice the same parallels. During El Matador's performance, Mendes referred to Tapia as a class act who avoids creating a lot of drama. Unlike McGregor in his early career, Mendes made it apparent that the man had the abilities to support it.
Well, of course he's cutting the line, but hey, if the fans, if that's what they want to see, that's what the UFC wants to see, then it's basically, he is cutting the line, but it's not a true sport. In a true sport, you're cutting the line. In a sport like this, which is not a true sport, it's entertainment first. So if more eyeballs are going to pay attention to Topuria, then obviously that's what the UFC is going to want.
People are saying that he's kind of following Conor McGregor's blueprint here. There's a number of similarities between the way early on Conor sort of carried himself and Ilia is carrying himself now. A lot of similar moves. Do you see those similarities as well?
No, because he's a class act. Ilia is a class act. He's not throwing raunchy stuff out there. As far as we're talking performance, I would say performance. Okay, let's forget the other stuff. Performance-wise, I would say, yeah, he's doing really well performance-wise.
The formal confirmation of Ilia Toria's switch to lightweight is already creating a stir. He was originally scheduled to rematch Alex Volkanovski at UFC 314 in Miami, but Volkanovski will now take on Diego Lopez after El Matador vacated his 145-pound belt. Ilia had alluded to a transition to lightweight while he was the featherweight champion, and now that it's happening, there is some friction with Islam. Mac has been outspoken regarding Toria's lack of merit for an instant opportunity at the lightweight belt. Makhachev's head coach, Khabib Nurmagomedov, recently appeared as a guest on a Russian MMA podcast and discussed his thoughts on Toria's chances of winning the title. Khabib stated unequivocally that he doesn't think Ilia should be given a chance to win the lightweight title before establishing himself in the class. Khabib has now made this argument multiple times, stressing that the UFC backed the fights, and that Islam has previously faced Vol twice in spite of the criticism. Khabib asked why Topuria hadn't fought there before and why Nurmagomedov should try him at 155 lbs. He obviously thinks Topuria has more work to do before he can be considered for a title. The UFC and its supporters are becoming more interested in this. Out. During an interview with the Spanish publication, Ilia broke her quiet over recent major news, and Khabib's remarks caused a lot of reactions, notably from El Matador himself. I don't want to give away too much right now because the UFC has asked me not to, but we should have some big announcements coming up soon. Perhaps next week. If I want to, I can finish you, knock you out, and make it look easy. I'll see you soon. Champion. He's a beast, but I have a lot of things working against him that will make it difficult for him when he faces me. One thing he knows, and we all know, is that I only need one punch, and he knows for sure that I'll land that punch because I don't throw my punches carelessly. Instead, I wait for the right moment. At some point, it will be up to God to decide whether he wants Islam to sleep or not. If not, who knows? While it would be regrettable if Makhachev's title reign were determined solely by his victories against featherweight fighters, it would seem like the most sensible course of action. The next action. At UFC 311, Makh was initially scheduled to defend his title against Arman Tsaryan. However, with no other obvious lightweight contenders scheduled, Dana White confirmed that Arman would not be getting another chance at the title anytime soon after Tsarukyan withdrew just 1 day prior to the event. Tapia is now a strong contender to win the title right away. Prior to UFC 317 on June 28th, the UFC is preparing for Nurmagomedov and Topuria to face off during International Fight Week, according to a report earlier this week by Ariel Helwani. This fight would be significant and might be the most difficult test Nurmagomedov has encountered during his reign as champion. What are your thoughts? MMA enthusiast El Matador responded to Khabib's explanation of why he thinks Ilia doesn't deserve an immediate chance at Islam by issuing a warning to the Dagestanis, demonstrating that he is up to the task. Should he first demonstrate more in the division, or does he deserve the chance? What do you think will happen in this stylistic matchup? Leave a comment below with your thoughts. That's all MMA Psycho has to say. Thank you for viewing. Remember to hit the like button. Get daily.